Greetings, walkers, and welcome to a Walk with Walt podcast, where we take the road less traveled when it comes to Walt Disney and, for that matter, all things Disney. I'm your host, Kerry Rutkin, and I'm here with your other host, Pete Block. Pete, good to see you.
How you doing, Kerry? Glad to be back. Glad to be recording again. It's been fun, and I can't wait to get today started. And our guest is awesome, so this could be another great episode.
It seems we've been doing quite a few lately, too.
We're back on track. We got the
We're
train back
really
on
on
the
track.
tracks. We're making the grand circle tour of the park. This is good. Yeah.
Okay, everybody, if you came here today and you wanted to discuss the new gate they're building at Disneyland, the new park, you come to the wrong place. There are thousands of podcasts that will benefit you. Then again, Pete, maybe we should do a show. We should do a show.
The speculation is insane at this
We
point.
should.
I kind of wanted to document it all and see who got it right and who got it way wrong.
Well, as you know, I'm obsessed with people's Disney obsessions. Okay. And do you realize this one's real? Do you realize how long Disney's going to keep the buzz alive? Minimum 15 years.
Oh,
Minimum.
yeah.
It's going to take 10 years to build it, at least. And if it's more successful than DCA was when it opened, it'll go on for many years after that. So yeah, this one's going to go on for a while. So on to our show today. Today we have my good friend Jeff Ranjo. Jeff, welcome to a Walk with Walt podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No, it's
a pleasure.
Jeff is one of the world's premier story artists. He has worked on such Disney movies as Hercules, Tarzan, Fantasia 2000, The Emperor's New Groove, Meet the Robinsons, Frozen, Moana, and on and on. Recently, he was head of story and co-producer of Emmy Award-winning Maya and the Three on Netflix. I met Jeff through Steve Anderson, who we just finished our second series with. First time I met Jeff was at Disneyland. We were meeting there, and it was Super Bowl Sunday. And Jeff and his family were really late. But it was, it was no big. We had, nothing really planned. So here's what he said. It was insane. All right. And Jeff said, when we finally caught up to each other, he said, I didn't think it would be so crowded today since it was Super Sunday. And then, like a smart ass, I have to, like, smart, instead of saying, no problem, of course, because it didn't bother me. I had to say, yeah, you and 60,000 other people that are here with us right now. But now it's the time where we shamelessly promote our guests. It's time for the Plugola hour. So, Jeff, tell us what you're up to these days. Tell us what you are doing.
Well, I am currently at Netflix. I am working on animated content, which the funny thing is I can't promote it because it's not out yet. The thing that I'm working on currently, so I can't really say. But I did work on other shows like Leo, Adam Sandler's Leo. I worked on that. But the I can say that I did a little character design on this show, and I'm doing some storyboards. So I get to do both of the things that I love to do on this current show.
So, is this show green lighted, or we're just still in the presentation phase?
That's the weird thing is nothing is ever greenlit now. But it is one of the front runners that it is. I would say it's as close as green light as you can get.
Now, this wasn't even part of what I was going to talk about today, but you when we chatted the other day, you mentioned a book about
Oh, yeah,
Disney movies. I think it was Disney movies that never got made.
yeah,
And that would be a great idea for a show. Like,
yeah. You can definitely.
often does it happen something gets canceled that you're working on or never makes it?
Um, it's funny. I want to say 50%.
Wow, that's a high
I
number.
would say 75% because when I was at Disney, when I was working on Frozen, there were two versions of Frozen that never saw the light of day, and then there were two other films that we worked on, which I can't say what they were, that got canceled. And I worked on another film that's in the book. The book is actually called The Disney That Never Was, and it's written by Charles Solomon. And he goes through and talks about films that were done in Walt's day and never got, made. So all the way up to 2000s films. And one of the films that didn't get made that I worked on was it was called Wildlife. And that was around 90, 99, 98, something like that. But it is shown in the book, and some of my drawings are in the book too.
Jeff, as you know, we've had Steve Anderson on the show, who
Mhm.
you know, and Paul Briggs, who you
Right,
know.
right.
You are going to complete our trilogy of talking to some of the world's greatest story artists, directors, producers. I think it's going to be the definitive series about what it takes to make an animated feature film. Having you guys, so uh, real excited about this. Now, for those, wait, before we go on,
Yes.
before we go on, can you give us a quick guided tour of what I'm seeing behind us?
Oh, well, I'm not gonna move the
'Cause,
camera around
No, that's fine.
yeah, just point in the
because
general
right
direction.
out of camera shot, there's papers, there's Post-its, there's art materials all over. Um, so I like toys, which I found out in animation, a lot of the people who work in animation are basically kids that never grew up. So we love drawing and we just continued to draw, but we always love um, things that remind us of childhood. So toys and birthday parties and Christmas specials or holiday specials that were animated. I think that feeling of being a child growing up, especially for me, like in the 70s and part of the 80s, like, just that feeling of like, because we didn't have phones and computers, you could just, whatever was on TV, that's what you got. So you had to always make sure you were there in front of the TV, to catch the Charlie Brown Christmas special or the Halloween special or, watching Sesame Street or things like that, the Muppets. All that stuff is what created me and a lot of the people in animation and my generation love toys like I do. So like you can see behind me, there's like just a ton of toys up there. If you could pick them out, maybe people can call out toys maybe on the YouTube channel. But it's stuff that I like, and that you can see some alien stuff over there, some Star Wars ships. Um, what else? Some giant robots. There's one over there, Ray Dean, a Shogun warrior from the 70s. Um, there's some Micronauts in there.
Hey, Jeff, is that a Emmy right behind your head there? The gold statue?
Oh yeah, that's just an Emmy I got for Moana and the Three.
It's just an Emmy. I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't look like a toy.
But
Wow.
Notice I did say Emmy Award winner.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
and then I also have my maquettes up here that you can see an Olaf there from Frozen, and there's a Cusco llama back there, a Tarzan maquette, um, and there's my Disney, what is it, 15-year Mickey Mouse statue. I worked there for 18 years. I never got the, what is it, 20. Um, and then I got my here's my ISCA award, which is the International Society of Caricature Artists. I was the guest speaker last year or the year before. Um, and oh, look at this. This is from Maya and the Three. It's a printed
Mhm.
the sword.
Yeah.
her what I forgot what it was called. It's called Eagle Claws, the name of the thing.
Yeah.
But I forgot what it was called in Spanish, the actual name. And then also I have my Maui hook. Look at that, which was a gift to the story department. You can see, I don't know if you can see, but it says story department, and then on the back it has everybody's names carved in. And this is not wood. Like somebody didn't make like 20 of these, but it's a resin. But everybody who was on the story crew got these, so it's very sentimental, very cool. I hope it never breaks. So
Would you explain what a maquette is for people who may
yeah,
not
here,
know?
let me bring up my Olaf maquette. So, a maquette is a statue, basically a sculpted statue of one of the main characters, and they usually, when they finalize the design, they hand them out to the lead animators and the animators under that animator, so that they can see the different angles. So if you want to know what Olaf's face looks like from a low angle, you can turn it up and then you can draw it. These were mainly done for 2D animated films, so you're drawing by hand and you can't really imagine what it looks like. Then you can turn this character around and you can see, you know, what Olaf looks like in different angles. So yeah, but when you're doing it in CG, it's already there in the computer, so you don't need to draw it or anything. You're just manipulating it like a puppet,
Mm.
like a stop motion animation. So you don't really need a maquette. But they do, like at Disney, they at the end of the show when the movie comes out, they um they allow you to purchase these, and they're not cheap. They're like, I think this Olaf was maybe $300 or something like.
That's the original maquette?
No, no,
Oh,
it's a copy.
copy of it. Okay.
So they'll come in like usually gray. They'll just like a gray, but
Mm,
this one's a painted one, which I
mm.
actually won in a raffle at Disney. I was gonna buy one, but then I won it in a raffle, a painted version. So I was like, great, I don't have to spend $300. Or I think, I don't know what the exact number is, but like the Elsa from Frozen, she had this big gown and she was really big. It might have been like 700 or $1,000,
Wow.
something like that. I don't know. People can correct me if it's not. But when I saw the price, I was like, "Whoa, that's expensive." So I don't know. Sometimes you would get them for free if you were a lead animator. They would just give them to you. But nowadays, like Disney, the ARL, which is the Animation Research Library at Disney, they want everything back so they can put it
Mm.
back in the vault.
I've been around Jeff where I've run into friends of mine with him and Steve Anderson, and they've drawn pictures on the spot,
Oh,
and it's a very emotional thing. I've seen people cry. Uh, he's did some for my family. I remember Lana, my daughter Lana.
hmm.
Uh, when I brought it home, a picture of Olaf, uh, she started crying. It,
Oh,
it's very powerful, and
right.
they're so generous to sketch these. Uh,
Wait a minute. Look, on that note, look what I drew. While you guys were talking, I drew Pete. That's what
I
I
like
do.
it.
That's what I do when I have a lot of Zoom meetings. I'm just drawing pick little post-its of people.
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
The
hold
time.
hold on just a second. When Paul was on the show, and I did a show with Elisa, he drew a picture of us and him. So I should make that like a requirement that you
Yeah.
draw a picture of us sometime. You're gonna have plenty of time because
Sketch while we're sitting there, exactly.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. That's what you'll just see me looking down and talking, but
Yeah, that's
you've
awesome.
you've got an original Jeff Rancho.
Hey,
Here's how valuable that
put it
is.
put it in the casket with me when it's my time to go.
So
Uh,
Jeff, for those who have not again tuned in for the first time,
mhm.
would you please explain what a story artist is, what you do?
Um, yeah. I A story artist is somebody who we what we do is we draw up the movie before the animators get to it. So it's basically a blueprint for the movie, and it's like, we draw sketches, you know, that show different story points like a comic strip, but we do that for the whole movie. And how are there different chapters to a movie, like I always use this reference, but it doesn't work right now, but because of streaming. But like back in the day on DVDs, there were chapters for each DVD. We would get a chapter for each, or it's called a sequence for the movie, and then so there'd be about eight to 10 story artists on a movie, and then we would divide up the movie depending on people's strengths. So, like, some people like to do action, some people like to do comedy, some like to do drama. Um, my personal preference is comedy and some comedic action, uh, not the heavy scenes, the the really where somebody's dying you know, usually like in a Disney movie when the parents die, I'm like, no, I don't need to do that scene. And then there's also a person called a head of story who, and they work with the director who, um, they figure out, they cast the different sequences to people's strengths. So, they're like, oh, Jeff likes to do comedy. Let's give him these comedic scenes. So yeah. And if you're the head of story, you get to pick which scenes you like to do because you're the boss. um so yeah, that's stuff like that. So yeah, and we keep doing the movie over and over. About like every 3 months we redo the movie depending on if it's good or not. And usually the first version of the movie, oh, I forgot to add, like so after we do the drawings, we pitch them to the directors. Now it's on a computer. It used to be in person on a storyboard with a pointer. We used to point to all the drawings, and we would do voices, and we'd act out the scene. And if they liked it, they would or they didn't like it, they would do notes on it and fix it right there in person. um, and then we'd redo it, and then we'd pitch it to editorial. And editorial is, they cut the film together. They're editors, and they would cut it together with sound effects and music, and it's just like watching a rough version of the movie. So we do this every like 3 months, and we redo the movie over and over and over until the time is up. And then by that time the animators were have been called on. And but story is always something that is rough, and it's something you can change all the time. That's why we draw really rough. We're not doing a lot of pretty drawings. So it's really rough because as Joe Ramp says, storyboarding is storyboarding, because we're always reboarding all the sequences because they're never perfect. It's sort of like writing, but with pictures. So we're kind of writing the movie, but with pictures. That's what a story artist is.